Today we're just kind of circling back and we're going to look at the SpotOn, and as time goes by, you know, especially with smart technology, you start to discover these little bitty things that you didn't realize you had. You know, when you pick up a smartphone, you get online and you take a look at it and you find all these little features that it has that you never realized were there before. And it's the same with the SpotOn here, and I think I found a few little things that are worth highlighting and just discussing the device in general after having had it for nearly half a year and using it consistently and whatnot. And I'll cover the pros and the cons, you know, any additional cons that I found and some additional pros, some things that I like about it. It's a smart collar. It keeps your dogs contained. It does a little bit of tracking, as you know, in the yard, so to speak. Now, if you get the subscriptions, it will do, you know, much more extensive tracking, but that's basically what it is in a nutshell. Hey there, Aries. Oh. Not only that, but there's been a big price drop on it. I don't know if you've seen lately. It used to be nearly $1,300, especially after taxes. Now it's a price drop to $999, so just a shade under $1,000. And of course, you could save some extra money on that when you purchase one if you use the coupon code WAF, and that'll save you a little extra money. But that price drop is huge, especially since this collar's been out for a little while. And you know, with these videos kind of arming you with some knowledge about what the best features of the device and what it does and whatnot, you'll be able to make a decision and determine if you want to buy it at this new price range, which I think, you know, it's much more of a steal than it was before, especially when it comes to you know, comparisons with other smart collars out there. It's a little more market friendly, I guess you could say. But anyway, let's get started. So like I said outside, we're about half a year into the SpotOn, and I've used it quite extensively. It's an excellent little collar. It's doing a lot of good things for me and Athena. Athena's the one that generally wears the SpotOn collar, and Aries goes with the Halo 3. It's been a pretty fantastic collar so far. There are some new things that I'd like to share with you that have actually, one of them's just recently come out, which I'll cover here directly. Like I said outside, there's some hidden features here and there that kind of pop out as you go along. Work with the app, work with the collar, you discover new things, just like you do with any kind of new technology. And I think it's important to cover all those things, plus do a broad overview of the SpotOn collar as a whole for the new people who have, you know, never purchased one or haven't had any interest in one until now. We'll start with the GPS tracking. It's pretty versatile, and it's very accurate. It's more accurate than the Halo collar, which I also use. I'd say it's probably the most precision GPS accuracy I've personally had, especially with the forest mode that is an automatic mode. And like I said, I'll discuss more of that later, but it's very accurate. It keeps up with my dog. Wherever he moves in the yard, you know, you can kind of look at it on the app, and it's obvious that it's sticking with him about maybe a second behind at worst, even on a cloudy day, which is a good thing. The virtual fencing has helped me a lot. You know, like I've said in previous videos and earlier in this video, we have physical fencing outside, but both of my Dobermans are capable of jumping it. I had a Doberman in the past named Titus, and he was able to clear a 6-foot privacy fence, and we're talking a chain link fence out here in my backyard now, and Aries and Athena are more than capable of scaling it if they see something crazy and they want to go for it, you know? So this has helped me keep them inside the property. The battery life on it is fantastic. It's marketed as 22 hours. I generally get a little bit less than that, but it charges really fast, especially since I use a 20-watt charger. I'd say about an hour and it's ready to go. So that gives me all day long with the collar on Athena, and at the end of the day, I simply plug the collar into the charging cradle that comes with it. Matter of fact, it just slides directly into the cradle here, charges up, takes about an hour. So the battery life is pretty much as advertised, maybe a little shorter. If you're using a lot of tracking throughout the day, it will cut that time down to about, you know, 13, 14 hours instead of the full 22. But that's only if you're using it extensively. The app integration is great. In fact, I'd say, especially when it comes to creating the invisible fences for the SpotOn, it's just very fluid, it's very precise. You know, I use the Halo collar as well, and it's a little more simplified, and with simplification comes clunkiness. And This app is not very clunky at all. It's very smooth, it's very easy to operate, it's very easy to manipulate your little fence posts around and draw your lines out, overlap your fences, things of that nature. It's very comfortable for Athena. The only issue I'd say about it is it's a bulky collar. As you can see here, you've got your satellite here, you've got battery up in here, and it's just it's broken up into segments. And it's not uncomfortable for her, but even for a Doberman, she's a medium-sized dog, and she's half the size of my male Doberman. It looks a little big and clunky on her, but I mean, it's really no big deal. For smaller dogs, it may stand out even more. It's hard to say. Like I said, it's very effective. It's very adaptable. I don't personally use the tracking feature. You have to have a subscription for that, but it's something that I could easily access and add on if I wanted to through the app. It would take me less than a minute. Like, let's say one of my dogs escaped and I needed to track her, but I'm not subscribing. Okay, well, you can do everything with the SpotOn collar without a subscription, except for tracking a lost dog. That's the only thing that their subscription is required for. If she were to escape, I could literally get on the app, purchase a subscription, and be tracking her in less than a minute. It's that fluid, it's that simple, it's that precise, and I like that because there's no sense in me paying for tracking month after month after month when my dog's not escaping. But when she does escape, I can quickly add it on and no big deal. Got a lot of modes with it. It's got containment modes, got the forest mode that I previously spoke of, and that's a mode that you don't even have to activate. If you have a heavy tree canopy in your yard and it's blocking your the satellites and everything, forest mode is automatic. So the precision GPS remains as precise as it would be if it was wide open outside. You don't have to worry about it. It's also got, and I'll elaborate about this a little more later in the video, a brand new off-grid mode, which I really think is cool because it doesn't matter where you are. If you have no cell phone coverage, if you're out in the desert, you do have an off-grid mode. It's not as capable as the regular modes, when you're in good coverage and everything is fine and normal. It's not as capable of that, but it does give you a virtual fencing option that you can use with the collar, and I think that's pretty incredible. It's got the safe zones, you got your keep out zones that you can draw inside of your home zones, which I like because we have a garden. Don't want the dogs digging up into the garden. We've also got some chicken coops out there because I have chickens and I've got Indian runner dogs. That's a good keep out zone feature for me, as is the gardening area, which I can keep the dogs out of as well. So the keep out zones are fantastic. We've got overlapping fences, and that's just getting complex and creative and maybe a little artistic with your virtual fencing designs and whatnot. You have a lot of options there. You can create up to 1,500 fence posts, I think, and it's got a very precise warning system. They've got different methods of training your dog. The SpotOn has shock, which I don't personally use, but it's there, or it's a static correction. And it's got more levels of static correction than the Halo collar. I mean, the feature's there, but with the training that the app offers you and the subscription model offers you and everything, and with repetitiveness and correction measures, just working outside and training your dog, you shouldn't need the static correction stuff. Plus you got vibration, you got loud irritating noises that will drive your dog back into the yard. And that's what I use, vibration, noise, and just general training. Speaking of training programs, there's a lot on the SpotOn. That's where it maybe lacks a little bit behind the Halo, is it doesn't have as many video learning guides as far as training your dog, but the training aspect is fairly simple, and I'll even walk you through that a little bit today. Creating everything from the very beginning, downloading the app, setting it up with the collar, getting it on your dog, training your dog. We're gonna go over all that stuff today, so we make sure that you know exactly what you're getting with the SpotOn collar. I don't wanna forget, I think I mentioned it earlier in the video, make sure that if you go on and buy a SpotOn collar, to use the WAF code at the checkout, because that'll knock an additional, that'll give you an additional discount. Plus these collars have been discounted from their original price, which was I think almost nearly $1,300, down to just a shade under $1,000. So now's the perfect time to buy the SpotOn if you're looking to get something for your dog that's really accurate, works really well, and will keep your dog safe and contained in the backyard, front yard, wherever you keep them. Setting up the SpotOn app and the collar is a fairly simple process. You don't have to do anything crazy or wild or anything. Once you pull the collar out of the box and set it on the table, plug it into charge, and it's pretty much ready to connect, so long as you have the SpotOn app downloaded. And the app itself, you don't even start connecting to the collar until you filled out your basic profile information. The same thing you get with any smart collar. You just go through and fill out your dog's name, birthday, put their weight down there, height, and you can pick, you know, different colors, whatever floats your boat. The SpotOn collar only comes in one color, so you won't really be matching colors on the app to the collar itself like you can do with the Halo. But you can add a photo of your dog and choose your favorite color. And just kind of, it doesn't really do anything specific for you, but it's just your personal preference. And once you're done with your profile, you can go ahead and start creating your fence, which you can either walk out with the collar in hand, or you can start it just like this. And I'm showing you this because walking it out, or walking your own perimeter, is pretty self-explanatory. You simply choose that option and then go walk out your lines. With the drawing, it just creates it automatically generates a square for you, and you just shift that square over to where you want, and then start making little subtle adjustments to your square. Now, one of the things I like about the SpotOn is this part right here is very precision, fine-tuned. When you touch the fence posts and move them, they react immediately. And as you drag your finger across the screen, it bends the fence to wherever you want it. And I mean, you can see it happening. It's not like, let's say, for example, the Halo collar, where you touch a fence post and shift it, but it doesn't move. It only moves after you lift your finger again, which is kind of disconcerting a little bit. So I like this feature. I like that it's very precise and follows along with wherever you slide your finger across the screen. So you can basically form this into a square, a octagon, a triangle, I mean, whatever shape or, you know, situation your yard shape is. And once that's done, you just simply name your fence. I would suggest naming it because you can create multiple fences with the SpotOn. And if you want to create multiple fences, it's better to name them or give them a number or something. That way you can categorize them in the future. And you don't have to worry about, you know, which fence is which, regardless of where you go. I mean, me personally, I have a fence here at home. I have a fence in Tennessee, and I have a fence over at my fiance's dad's property. That way, wherever I take Athena or Aries, I have a fence there. I have a virtual fence there that we can work with, and it's never an issue. So if you just number them like that, it'll make them simpler for future reference. And then, of course, you got other different profile details you can fill in and whatnot to make it a little more customizable for your personal preferences. And that's pretty much it. It's really that simple. And you, like I said, you can add multiple fences if you need them. So wherever you go, you have one. Now, once you've created your fence, you have some other interesting little options. And I purposefully created a small fence so I could kind of show you how this works. If your fence is too small and you try to create another zone inside of it, a keep out zone, it won't allow you to do that. So what you'll have to do is have a larger fence. Now, obviously, if you can't have, you know, a larger virtual fence, then you won't be able to make one of the keep out zones. And that's kind of one of the, I guess I'd say, a con about the SpotOn is you're basically relegated to no less than a ½ an acre by a ½ an acre. And even when you do have a large enough area, if your keep out zone that you want to keep your dog out of is too close to the fence, then it won't let you create it there. As you can see here, I'm having to move almost completely to the middle to create this little keep out zone. So what I kind of did was extended the on my actual SpotOn setup for my dog, is I moved the fence border down a little bit on the south section and was able to put in a keep out zone for our garden that encompasses our garden and our chicken coops. That way, you know, I've got at least something there for to keep the dogs out. But that's what the keep out zone is for. You can add that, and you can also add the home zone. But in order to add the home zone, you have to stretch your regular virtual fencing over your house, and then the home zone is contained within that. And you sort of have the same kind of rules that you do with the keep out zone. It doesn't feel to me that it's exactly as precise as the keep out zone in terms of you know, you're too close to your fence borders, and it won't let you load it up. But you can create a home zone that encompasses your house, and then you can further adjust that home zone so that it includes the shape of your house, you know, whatever that may be. You may have, you know, an L-shaped house, or you may just be like me and have a straight up rectangle, you know, kind of boring, but it's a lot simpler when it comes to dealing with this app, you know, just because with an L shape, you might actually have to create two home zones, one you know, lengthwise, and then one covering the section that kind of forms the L or whatnot. But for mine, it's pretty simple. Just create a home zone, and I'm not detail doing it here. I'm just showing you how it works. I've already got mine created. And when you're drawing it out, you can see here when you get too close to the border of your virtual fencing, everything turns red because it's too close. But like I said, it gives you a little more leeway creating the home zone than it does creating the keep out zone. And for obvious reasons, I mean, you know, the makers of SpotOn realize that some people's homes are going to be very close to bordering, you know, where they want their virtual fences to be. Especially if you're like me and you've got physical fencing, you know, that's just outside the edges of your home. It only makes sense to keep those lines very close to the fence post. Then once you're done, it loads everything up to your collar just like a regular fence, and you're ready to go. SpotOn calls them boundary boost plans, but they're basically just subscription plans, and there's a 3-tiered system here, and you can see what all you get as far as benefits for having the plans. Now these benefits cover all 3 plans. It's just a matter of how you pay for each of the plans. You've got your monthly plan, which is obviously the most expensive over the long term, a 1-year plan, which saves you 20% off, and a 2-year plan, which saves you 40% off. Now, like I said, no matter what way you go, you still get the same benefits. So you can choose to do the monthly plan and see how you like it, and then jump to a 1- or 2-year plan later. Plus, if you decide to purchase the SpotOn, it's had a drastic price reduction. It's gone down from $12.95 to $999. And as you can see here, the discount code, if you put in WAF, or World Animal Foundation, you get an extra $50 off. So that's a huge bonus, you know, and a lot of value for a collar that I think is very impressive smart collar in its own right, and it's probably one of the top in the industry.
All right, so we're gonna set up here, and what we're gonna try to do, and I'm gonna have my kids with me helping out a little bit, because that's what we have kids for, you know, get them to do stuff for us. We'll set up out here and just kind of give you a bird's eye view of how the system works, how accurate it is, and you know, a simple method for training your dog, getting your dog used to the system and the invisible barriers and how to respond and whatnot. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk her out to the border of the fence where the invisible fence starts. You'll hear it when she crosses the fence. The app will send an alert to the iPad and bring her right back. And that's both a combination of, you know, training her, teaching her where the new borderline, where her the invisible fence is, when to come back, and it's to show you how accurate the system is. Walk him out.
Come on, Harry.
Come here. All right, he's hit it. Let's go back. Come on, come on. Good boy. He's a little eager to come back. Good boy.
You kind of got an idea of how quickly it set off the alert whenever areas cross the invisible fence boundary. But anyway, I get a lot of questions on YouTube about these collars, especially the SpotOn, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is an expensive piece of hardware, and, you know, people have a lot of questions, which is completely natural. But one of the big ones I get is, you know, what do you do with the SpotOn if you have no signal? Well, at one point, when I first got the collar, that was kind of a big deal. But now SpotOn offers an off-grid mode. You don't have to pay extra for it. It's actually part of the app. If you download the app right now and you have the SpotOn collar, you can find it in there in settings. If you turn the off-grid mode on, whether you have a signal or not, you can have a single virtual fence in place for the period that you're in that area with no signal. Now, you can't do much else, but it will effectively keep your dog inside the invisible barrier as long as, you know, your dog has been properly trained and whatnot. Another question I see often is how long it lasts. Well, it's marketed as a 22 to 24 hour battery. I generally get about 20-21 hours out of it, but the thing is, I only use the SpotOn during the day, and I don't use it heavily for its tracking features because my dogs stay within the invisible fence area. I do know that if you use the tracking feature extensively and you constantly have it on, you constantly having it outside, it reduces the battery length to about 14 hours. Now, it only takes me about an hour to fully charge it from a dead battery, completely dead, 0%. It takes me about an hour to charge it back up.
And that's because I use a 20 watt charger with a USB-C cable. It's the same one I use for my iPhone 15. So, you know, it charges it extra quick, but the low time on that, or the longest amount of time it takes to charge is generally 3 hours. But I would expect to get between 1 and 3 hours out of it, especially if you have a fast charger. Another question I see often is, does it work with small dogs? Well, yes and no, depending on your dog's size. Your dog has to have at least an 11-inch neck. Anything smaller than that, and it's just not gonna work. It's a bulky collar, and you know, it's not like they can't fit it for small dogs. It's just that that bulk keeps it from forming a very tight circle. So dogs with smaller necks simply aren't going to be able to use it. Another question I see a lot is can you draw it through fences, through water, and things of that nature? Yes, you can in a way, because you have a lot of different angles and things you can work with. You can lay a ton of fence posts down with this thing. And you can precision move those things into, you can create, you know, multi-sided drawings on your map. You know, you could have 50 sides if you need to, and you just sit there and adjust the angles until you get exactly what it is you need. With overlapping fences and everything else the SpotOn offers, you shouldn't have any problem drawing out a fence or walking out a fence area that is accommodating for, you know, what you have to deal with specifically. That wraps things up for the SpotOn little hybrid review. 4 to 6 months of use. I'm still getting extensive use out of it. It's doing everything that I expected to do, and there are continual little upgrades here and there, such as the off-grid use that I think is just phenomenal and brings a lot more value to the product. So I think overall there's a lot of value to the SpotOn. I'm consistently using it. After about 5 months, I'd say I fall somewhere in between the 4 to 6 months. Before I sign off here, y'all hit that like and subscribe button. We got a lot more content coming in the future. Plus, that helps us continue to bring in, you know, new content, especially the kind that like I can get my hands on. I don't want to ever do reviews of any products that I'm not physically using. And the more of that comes in, I can physically use these products, and I can determine whether they're good or they're bad, or you know, somewhere in between even. And you know, report back what I find, and that's going to help y'all pick out the best gear for your animals, whether it's, you know, dogs, cats, whatever. And it's a huge benefit to the industry to be able to get this knowledge out there, spread it out through the community, ask your questions. You know, I always make an effort to get on YouTube and try to go through the questions and give them the best answer that I can based on, you know, my personal hands-on use of the equipment. So I think that's a great thing. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll just keep this content rolling in. We got a lot more coming down the line, so look out for it.